So a new Fire Emblem has been announced, and it appears to be some kind of prequel or sequel to Three Houses. And based on the architecture, it immediately looks like Three Houses in a kind of new art style, like a new art direction, kind of like a more engaged art direction. It almost looks like the Adrestian Empire to some degree, at least that's how I kind of viewed it. Though some of the outfits kind of look more like Greek in nature. I think this is the protagonist here, this dude with like the purple hair, and it's hard to tell who's. A lot of these are playable. That seems to be the dancer right here, the cool thumbnail girl, we'll call her. She seems to be dancing later on, but we'll go into every little detail we can find. Some of these things are just like, you know, cinematics, so they're not too revealing, but the gameplay stuff is really where we can get a feel for the game. Visually, I do think it looks pretty good. We have a kind of like engage art direction with a more serious look to it. So I think more people will respond better to that than the crazy designs in Engage. So it's more rooted like Three Houses was. So right out of the gate, I think that's a good thing. I did watch this on Lucky Crit's stream, so shout out to him. So right away, this appears to be the protagonist. I don't know if you can make the protagonist female, but I don't really care either way. It doesn't really matter to me. We have like some female character next to him with glasses that looks like some kind of mage or healer. If I had to guess, she's a mage. They're chilling out on some scaffolding there. Then we have an explore segment. So this might be a city instead of a monastery. I could be wrong, but this does kind of look like a big city. This might just be this game's version of like the base, you know, like the monastery or the Somniel and so on. So confirmed we have like a thing kind of like, you know, the monastery, which is fine because the Somniel wasn't nearly as bad as the monastery segments in terms of like how long it would take. So we have like the free running that we've come to expect. All right, so right away, let's look at that UI. Pretty clean UI. The board does look like Three Houses, like immediately, like it kind of resembles Three Houses right out of the gate, at least visually. The character icons are kind of interesting. They have a little bit of a symbol there. They have the weapon type equipped, so you can see like sword, bow. You can see like a tome over here. There's like a chariot class, which is pretty cool, like a chariot archer. We can see that there's ground information here, so it's a ground tile with 0% avoid. The main character appears to be on some kind of like chicken class, so flying Orneus rider. So it shows that it's a cav, but it does say flying, so I'm assuming it like runs on the ground and then flies as needed, or whatever. Or can fly over things. Actually, we can see blue tiles, so it looks like you can fly over this to attack here. So it looks like he's attacking the archer at one range. For displayed information, we have his information. We have his health, physical damage. So it states Fizz. So if you want a magical weapon, it should say like Mage or whatever, Mag. So it shows you the magnitude of the damage and the type of the damage, hit rate, protection, resilience. I like that it shows these when you select them, because this is like the important information for, you know, general combat, so you can quickly do math and calculations. All right, so he moves up. So we have attack, blaze art, combat art, dismount, items, storage, weight. All right, so storage, you know, he's a main character, one of the protagonists or whatever. You can use storage. Dismount is interesting, that it was something that was in Three Houses, and you could do that to prevent weakness or effectiveness versus the thing you were on. So if you're a flyer, you want to remove flying effectiveness, you can dismount. Blaze arts is interesting. This is a new mechanic, as far as I know, that uses a different resource. And combat arts very likely functions as it did in Three Houses, where you use an ability, it has extra effects. Maybe it has like increased crit, increased hit rate, whatever. And then it consumes more weapon durability, which is in the game for sure. Okay, and then for weapons, you can see that assuming this is his base class, if it's not, he has two weapons. So he has a sword and a spear. So bronze spear, you can see the durability right here. So there is durability, so very much like Three Houses. We have physical attack, the value. We have attack speed, abbreviated to AS. We have hit rate, avoid, crit, range, skill. So it shows his actual rank. So his spear ability or whatever. So right now he's E rank. And then there's also the status curse, which is interesting. So we'll have to figure out what the hell that's all about. But curse is interesting. Okay, and then for the forecast, I love the way they do this now, because this is what they did in Engage, and it's super clean. it shows you where the damage, so it's showing the damage and it's showing the hit rate and it's showing who's taking the damage with the crit rate. So the crit rate is 44 here, it looks like. So he has a 44% chance to deal, you know, I'm assuming 3 times damage because that's usually what it is. So 100 hits, 44 crits. He won rounds here either way, and obviously he's not getting counterattacked because the enemy has a bow, and if you attack bow units at one range, they don't counterattack. But the UI is very clean. So similar to Engage, it kind of like, you know, zooms in for the battle thing in a kind of cinematic way. Looks like he's critting here. It was very cool crit. Yeah, he did 3 times damage. So crits do 3 times damage. Now I think this is a playable character. She's a grounded lance unit that's tan. So it's a Tamara. Hopefully she's good and doesn't have a meat song. So she clearly is playable here. She's blue. So what was that selection there? I want to get a feel for what that... She looks cool. She's very serious though. She looks like a hybrid between Edelgard and Tamara, so maybe people will like her. Okay, so she's using a Gambit. So Disturbing Strike, so 2 out of 2. So just like 3 houses, you have Gambit uses per map. If attack hits, immobilize, inflicts, immobilize. I like that it states that because before all the Gambits would immobilize. So maybe certain Gambits don't do that now. And it has to explicitly state this. So for her stats, so right now she's level 18 Noble. So we do have the same system, or at least I'm assuming we do, of the 3 houses class system, where you start out in commoner / noble, and then you progress to different things. So at level 18 noble, she has 16 perts. It's boosted by something. Maybe her lance or her spear. Oh, it's actually called a spear. Good for them. They learned. Lance is a different weapon. The things they're calling lances are really spears the entire time. All right, so she has a spear. Maybe gives her a little bit of protection, but her defensive stats look decent so far. I don't really have any point of reference for this game's stats, though, so maybe she's a tank, maybe she's not. Maybe she's kind of like, you know, your average lord in terms of durability. And then just like with all Gambits, they have a pattern. So in this case, the pattern is a 1x3 horizontal. Pretty cool. And then it shows the damage dealt, and it shows the hit rate, because Gambits do have hit rate, and it also shows the uses going from 2 to 1, which is very nice. So a lot of these things, you can just quickly read these without really paying too much attention and digging down into menus. It shows you exactly what's going on. It's almost like Engage and 3 houses had a baby. So hopefully this is good, and it works out and people like it, because I like both of those games, so... Let's see. Alright, here's the Gambit. Disturbing Strike. Okay, they don't show it hitting though. Then there's this guy who has like a sword. Some Lucky Crit was saying this looks like Neuron armor. It kind of does to a degree. I kind of just view it as like black and gold armor. All right, and then he is moving over terrain. So he seems to be teleporting here. All right, let's get a feel. So it looks like he's using some kind of ability here. All right, so he's using a Blaze Art, which has an HP cost. Okay, so that's interesting. So using your HP as a resource is a very interesting idea, because essentially it allows you to burn. It's almost like Magic the Gathering, like, you know, like swamp things or whatever, like swamp cards, black cards. You can sacrifice health to gain some kind of effect. So Moving Shadow can warp up to 3 spaces, then unit can attack. So obviously this is big value because he can't climb over this normally, so he's teleporting over an obstacle. So it's kind of like pseudo flight in a way. But also the fact that there's a whole new thing, Blaze Arts, that consume health in terms of, or consume health as a resource to give you some kind of advantage. And they're like utility, like this is a utility, like a self-warp is utility, right? So that's interesting, and also allows for potentially big plays and interesting mechanics. So we have Gambits, we have Combat Arts, we have Blaze Arts. So there's a lot to the game already. All right, and then he has access to do combat arts there as well as using a normal attack. He has a unique sword, Answerer, magic sword, counted among the hero relics. All right, so hero relics are confirmed a thing. This is basically, you know, it's the 3 houses. So if this is in it, you'll see that in a second. Allows the use of the bloodletting combat art. So his attack speed, so he's level 37. He's a level 37 Myrmidon. That's weird as hell. I don't know if the level scaling is going to be insane in this game where you level up to like 100 or something, but if I'm seeing a unit that's level 37, I would be shocked to see them as a Myrmidon in any Fire Emblem game. I would be thinking like Swordmaster or some kind of like advanced or master class or something. But look at his defensive stats at level 37. 16 protection and 11 resilience. So the other unit, what Theodora, I think her name was, she had 16/10 at level 18. So she might be tanky. She might be like a Tamara type unit. But he's using this ability, or he's just attacking, sorry. Yeah, he's attacking. I was trying to get a... All right, so it's showing it anyways. So attack 37, attack 32. Let's see if he hits a 32. So murderous intent passive trigger. That's a crit. All right, so he crits. So his second hit did more damage. Some more cinematics. I think that's the dancer. She's very dancer-like. So, whoa, she's summoner. Never mind. Holy shit. Oh yeah, demonic beast. So this is definitely Three Houses universe because there's demonic beast, like everything, you know. So is she a summoner? She's not even a dancer. Summoning's interesting. Summoning might be OP as hell though, because like if you can summon something and control it, you can just send it in, and if it dies, it doesn't matter. So if you're doing like an Iron Man run, or if you're just playing on Maddening and you want to just like break apart an enemy position, you can just send in some cannon fodder. But summoning a demonic beast is a pretty big deal. Those things have crazy stats. Alright, so who is this? So he's fighting... So he is playable. He's fighting this lady. I don't know if that's a generic, if that's like an actual enemy. Some interesting designs. It's very kind of like Greekish. With like some flair. Alright, we got some arrows. Looks very serious. Got Tamara on her throne. Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. Switch 2. So I think it's a Switch 2 exclusive, which makes sense. I would do that if I was selling it. And then we have Sothis. Grown up, though. So we're assuming this is Sothis. She's grown up, though. She's huge. Look at her. She's large.
You've forgotten me so soon.
I mean, it's the throne, right? It's the whole thing. So it's definitely related to that game. Yeah, 2026 though. We gotta wait. We gotta wait some months, boys. We gotta wait quite a while. I mean, it's better than, you know, we're getting it soon. We're getting it in less than a year, probably. Ideally. All right, so we got durability, combat arts, blaze arts, gambits. We have a new status effect that keeps track of curses. Maybe that's for like if you're poisoned or something, and it tells you how much damage you're gonna take per turn or something like that. Maybe it's for debuffs, stat debuffs, immobilize. Maybe it just displays things like that. But it's good that they have that. The information in the game, it's very quick. Like you can quickly see how much damage you're dealing, hit rate, all this stuff. Like you don't have to do, it's very streamlined, much like Engage. I think that's the way it's going to be moving forward, which is a good thing. I love this menu. Also, look at this little shorthand down here. So you can change your combat arts and you can change your weapon. This was a thing, I'm pretty sure this was in most Fire Emblems, but the fact that you can just see it clearly displayed here is very nice. And you can see what weapon they have. You can see what they're doing. You can also see the passives. You can see what appears to be like Lance Prowess or something, and some kind of crest, as well as some other abilities over here. And these might be passives, like it's a cav, and this might be that it's, I don't know, plus like gain some ability or something when moving or something. But it also shows that it's killing. It shows the damage per hit and everything. So this is very nice UI. And I think, you know, moving forward, this is probably how Fire Emblem UI is going to look. But obviously with theming for each game. I do like that they have this kind of like artwork. Well, is that render? I think that's artwork. In Engage, I think it's a render. Or that's when you select them, though. It's like a render of the character, like the character model. But it has like a little image. I think it's just like a PNG. Trying to get a feel for that really quick before we wrap up here. I mean, I'm excited. This seems cool. Yeah, okay, so that's just an image of them. This is fine. This is very like GBA-like, where you have like the dude in the upper left corner. The Engage overlay, I think, is prettier, but it does take up more screen real estate. You have like the whole character, and then it like fades into the scene, but it kind of obstructs like, I don't know, like a fifth of the screen over here. It does look cool though, but this is definitely more streamlined, and this does look very similar to Three Houses. So is it a prequel? Is it a sequel? I don't think we have enough information yet. Maybe some people who are deep on the lore, maybe there's some characters that kind of reveal which it could be. I don't know. Maybe it's a prequel. Maybe it's a sequel. I don't really care either way. Like they can make the game about literally anything, and as long as the gameplay is good, I will buy it because I'm here for the strategy game gameplay. You know, I'm not here for the story, but if the story's good, that's always a bonus. So that's kind of how I view it. But yeah, this is pretty exciting. You know, new Fire Emblem game. So definitely drop a comment. Let me know what you think if you're excited about this. Oh yeah, also some of the classes, like this is like seemingly a class that has flying. That's some kind of like cav or flyer thing, so that's cool. Maybe they balanced out flyers by, I don't know, giving them more weaknesses or whatever. We'll figure it out. But we'll see. I do like how there's like combat arts for teleporting. That does also kind of balance out flying because now other things have access to getting over obstacles. They just have to pay resources to do that. So yeah, that is it for this one. Definitely like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next one. Peace.